The Cold War, a time when the world was more bipolar than a penguin in the Sahara. Imagine two schoolyard bullies, the United States and the Soviet Union, flexing their muscles but never throwing a punch. This was the Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension that lasted from 1945 to 1991. After World War II, these two superpowers emerged but weren't precisely high-fiving each other. Their differences were as stark as night and day. Capitalism versus communism, McDonald's versus borscht, Hollywood versus Soviet film. They were incompatible roommates, constantly bickering over how to redecorate Europe. The United States, leading the Western Bloc, was the cool kid on the block, promoting capitalism and freedom, with a side of jazz and blue jeans. They came up with the Marshall Plan, a massive economic group hug to help Europe regain its feet. Then there was NATO, a club of Western nations promising to have each other's backs in case of trouble. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, heading the Eastern Bloc, was all about spreading communism like it was the latest fashion trend. They had their own gang, the Warsaw Pact, and controlled Eastern Europe tighter than a bear hug. They were into central planning and state control, making their side of the Iron Curtain look a bit less flashy than the West. However, it wasn't all just stern looks across the Iron Curtain. There was the nuclear arms race, where both sides stockpiled enough nukes to make Godzilla look sort of a gecko. And let's not forget the space race. The US and USSR were throwing stuff into space faster than a kid with a new toy. The Soviets sent the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into space, and the Americans responded saying, "Hold my Apollo," and landed on the moon. This chilly standoff had its hot moments too. Proxy wars popped up as popcorn, with the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and many others where the superpowers backed different sides without directly fighting each other. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a high-stakes game of chicken, with nuclear missiles pointed alarmingly close to each other's homelands. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed, and we avoided a barbecue of apocalyptic proportions. Fast forward to the 1980s, and the Soviet Union felt the economic blues. Then, with his perestroika and glasnost, Mikhail Gorbachev tried to jazz up the Soviet system with some openness and economic reforms. But similar to a plot twist in a soap opera, these changes hastened the end of the USSR and the Cold War. By 1991, the Soviet Union had left the building, and the Cold War was officially history. So, that's the Cold War, a decades-long staring contest with lots of side drama. What do you think was the most jaw-dropping moment of this epic showdown? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more history updates from us.